Hey, welcome to Keight Krafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you my fun take on a Lawn Fawn Pivot Pop-Up card. Let's get started. Here are some of the Lawn Fawn dies I will be using in today's card. I will have them listed in the description box below if you need to reference them again. This is the template I will be working with, and these are the parts that I've already cut out. Here I have the Make Art Station by Wendy Vecchi, and it's a Ranger brand. I have the larger one, but I wanted the smaller one so that way I didn't have to take up so much space on my craft table with the large one. It comes with 4 magnets and this nifty little magnet ruler to go with it. I have the larger version of this, and the ruler for it is larger, and it's nice. So I'm going to take some distressed oxides and mustard seed, and I'm going to go around the little accordion piece to the pivot pop-up just to kind of give it a little bit of interest. This is going to be a very plain card. I'm not doing a whole lot of bells and whistles because I had this idea in my head and I kind of needed to put it down on paper. And then once I put it down on paper, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm going to make it. So all I'm doing is just creating a bit of a shadow around the edges, and I am using all the dots paper from Lawn Fawn, and this is the Petite pad that I'm using. And I like how all the dots paper kind of goes nicely with these distress oxides. Like this green one in particular looks really nice with the Mowed Lawn. And I do like the mustard seed as well with the yellow polka dots. So all I'm doing is just going around the edges. I'm not being too particular about how much, how dark, how little, how much. And just going around the edges. Here I've got some broken china. And I kind of went a little bit heavy on that spot. But it'll eventually soften up once the Distress Oxide ink kind of tones down a bit when it's dry. It does that. It gives it a bit of a chalky effect. So once I'm done that, I'll just touch up my corners where I want them done, and then I'll move on to the other panel with some dusty Concord. And it's kind of neat. Like if you take these pictures, if you take these pieces of paper and kind of match them up to the different oxides, it's almost like they took those oxides into consideration when they were making the polka dots, because you put this dusty Concord around the edge and it's almost like I don't know, I guess the middle color of the polka dots almost disappears. This would probably also be good in milled lavender as well. So here I've got a 11 by whatever it's called. I can't think of the name of the paper. I'm kind of in a brain fart. Anyway, instead of making a side folding card, I'm making like a top folding card is what I'm doing. And I'm going to make an A2 size card. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. So I'm just scoring it in the middle, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the fold line that I'm going to fold my card at 3 inches, and I will cut the other half off. Now, the bit that I'm saving there off to the side, I'm going to cut that down to, I believe, 3 1/4 inch. So I'm, just because this particular cutter and trimmer is kind of a pain in the butt, I've already made a base for this card, and then I kind of screwed it up, and then I had to go over and do it again. So I just took that little piece of scrap there and cut off 3/4 inch, and this will help make my card. So I'm just going to crease that up, and then I'm going to take my big purple cutout that I used the outside in stitched rectangle die to cut, and I am going to use some easy tape runner, and I'm going to line that up along the inside of the fold so I have a bit of a border when I close and you can see. You're not really going to see that inside too much. You'll see in a bit. So with the large 4-bar card rectangle die that I'm using here, I'm just going to put that on that panel, and then the 3 3/4 inch piece that I cut here, I'm going to add tape runner to half of the back of that, because that's only going to tape to the front of my card, not the inside of my card, even though the inside of the card is showing, which kind of makes it the outside of the card, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to line that up and do that the best that I can, and then kind of pat that down. So that looks good, and then I'm going to take the smallest of the rectangles that I cut with the smallest 4-bar, well, not smallest 4-bar, but 4-bar card, the smaller die, and that completes that. So now I'm going to assemble the pivot pop-up. Lawn Fawn's got a tutorial on how to do this. I often reference it because I often forget how to do the damn card. So I actually had done it another card originally, but I kind of screwed up at this point and ended up breaking the inside. I mean, I could still salvage the inside, but it didn't make for a very good video, so I decided to make it again. So all I'm doing here is these little tabs is I've put some 1/8 of an inch score tape, and I'm going to line those up the best that I can using my grid mat, and then I'll mash those down, and I think they look alright. So I'm going to fold them in half away from me, and then I'm going to fold them a half again, you know, the other direction. So I've got these hills and valleys. And now this is where I always go awry. So I get to fold this, like I get how to fold this, but then it's kind of like assembling it and getting it right. So I kind of fiddle around with it a little bit, try to figure out how I want to do this, how this is supposed to go. I'm kind of at a loss for thought. And then I remember in the video, the way she did it, Kelly Marie, she had it open. So I thought, oh, well, maybe that's an indication on how I need to be doing this. So I think, alright, I think I got this. So I grabbed my tape runner, and I put a bunch of tape on these little tabs here, which, again, Kelly Marie does a better job at this than I do. I'm not good with the technical terms on this one, so I think maybe I gotta line it up on the outside, and then I think no, because then that's just gonna give me too much of a mountain. So thankfully I can take this apart, and I'm going to line that up on the inside, but then I think, well, wait a minute, am I doing this right? So I end up taking it apart at some point. I end up putting it back together and taking it apart, and once I figured this out, if you turn it around, I mean, she puts that bit in first and then puts her little scene on, and I get too confused that way, so I thought, well, maybe I'll just put it on the inside after I've assembled it, because I need it to be hidden completely. And the first card that I did like this, it wasn't completely hidden, and I just kind of gave up on it. So I'm adding some strong adhesive, and it is fairly strong, and it does do the job. So I added a little bit more of my tape runner because I wanted to hurry up and get this card done, because I had already started it a second time. Now this is where I wouldn't have taken off my tape runner here, but I want to make sure that that little square panel or rectangle panel is hiding the picture that I'm going to be putting on the pivot pop-up. So make sure you don't take off all of your release tape, otherwise you end up having to tear it a little bit, which, I mean, it's not a big deal because it gets hidden, but I shouldn't have taken off the stupid release tape. So again, I want to make sure that the pivot pop-up is hidden behind the pieces of the front of my card. So I'm kind of lining everything up the best that I can, mashing that down, and then since I put on that release tape backing back on there, that way I could do it, we've got that done. So again, here we have two of the sentiments that I'm going to put on the inside. It is happy birthday and big wishes, and I'm using Cobalt blue from Archival Ink, a Ranger brand again, and make sure that that's nice and mashed. And then I'll take my guillotine trimmer and trim them down, and now I have my We Are Memory Keepers envelope. It's a mini one. I wanted to try it out. I saw it at a discount store a couple months back, and it's kind of been handy. I've tried to make a few little envelopes out of it, and it only makes me want the bigger one. And I kind of like how it's got the little corner rounder on it, and I like the look that it gives, and I've used it quite a bit, and it's quite handy. So that's that there. So now that I've got my little sentiments all cut out, I'm going to clean up my area and figure out where I want to put them. Now I have a drawer full of half-colored critters, and I found these two that were relatively colored in nicely with little dots and dashes on them, and I thought they were perfect, cute to go. I always forget to check that drawer to see what I have. Sometimes I color too many images and kind of put them off to the side. Here I thought I was going to use glue, and I wanted to make this quick, so I'm just going to put on some tape runner and just kind of adhere him. A little puppy dog, so cute. He's from the Furry and Bright, I believe, and this little kitty is from Meow You Doin, which I love that set. I think the cats are so adorable in that one. And now I'm just going to take some tape adhesive and and add the happy birthday, and then to the top panel one I will add the big wishes. So you kind of get like the cat and dog wishing you a happy birthday. See, the little bit is hidden, and it's like, I think I need some place to put my sentiment. I mean, I could write on the polka dots, but I think, you know what, maybe I will just line that up to the inside of the pivot pop-up, close it, and then maybe grab a pencil and mark that off. I'm not exactly sure how long that is, but, you know, if you end up making this card, it's not that hard to figure out. So I'm just going to take my guillotine trimmer here, trim that edge off, and then I'll go back in with my hole punch. This is an optional if you want to do this. If not, you know, I just thought it was an added bonus because the pivot pop-up is kind of rounded, and I only did the one side. So again, more tape runner. I'm going to add more. I didn't use any liquid glue in this. I probably could have, but I wanted to hurry up and get this card done quick, and here I go messing it up. So I grab my reverse tweezers, and I just kind of line that up to the edge of the pivot pop-up. You could see the tape that I didn't quite adhere down properly because I'd pulled it up. I should have put down more. I left all this in just so you could see how ridiculous sometimes I can be while making a card. So with my reverse tweezers, I am taking my panel and lining that up to the edge of the pivot pop-up. And then I'm going to close it, and here's my card. You open it up, and it says Big Wish, Happy Birthday, and a little space to write your sentiment. So, I don't know, this was like a mad dash to get this out of my head and onto paper, and it was kind of fun figuring it out, so maybe you'll try it. So if you've enjoyed today's content, or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.